Every single person on Earth has their own individual features and personalities. Despite the variability being a normal thing, once in a while we come across certain people who've been gifted with one-of-a-kind features that just cannot be ignored. Let's take a look at these people with real amazing genetic mutations which make them stand out amongst the crowds. Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe and click the notification bell for more such amazing content. Pranshu, mystery condition. This one is a genetic mutation no one has correctly diagnosed as of yet. This is a 10-year-old Pranshu, a resident of Jalandhar, India. Some people also believe he's the reincarnation of the Hindu god Ganesha. Pranshu was born with a protruding, swollen forehead and wide-set eyes. According to his father, he had a unique appearance since birth, and because of this, people of his village now worship him. His eyes have been compared to Lord Ganesha, and his head is still growing. Medical professionals have failed to give this condition a definitive name or reason. His father is, however, elated that instead of being bullied or treated badly, Pranshu has been accepted as the reincarnation of Ganesha by his village and receives immense love and adoration from them. Lalit Patidar, Hypertrichosis. Lalit is pretty famous in his hometown for his condition. He's a schoolboy who now goes by the name Werewolf Boy. He isn't just your ordinary 14-year-old teenager. He has a rare condition since birth called hypertrichosis. This means he's been battling extreme amounts of hair growth since birth, especially on his face, arms and most parts of his body. It took him a while to just embrace the body he was naturally born with. Although he did face some bias and judgment for his appearance, and he did grow up as an outcast in his town, his school friends and fellows have been extremely supportive of his situation. They refuse to let Lalit's condition define him. His teachers say that Lalit is quite popular among his classmates and everyone adores him. It wasn't always the case, however, as when he started school, people did have a hard time coming around, but with time, everyone has embraced him with open arms and nobody treats him differently. Kiwana Barbara Say syndrome. Kiwana is a massive social media superstar and influencer. She's a 22-year-old with a rare genetic condition called Barbara Say syndrome. You probably know her as the infamous TikTok sensation. The Brazilian girl was born with turned-out eyelids, large mouth and thin, papery skin. Kiwana is one of the 20 people recorded in history to have been born with this condition. This, however, hasn't been able to stop Kiwana from pursuing her dream of becoming a famous TikTok influencer. Her more than 130,000 followers support and love her. A lot are even surprised by her courage and perseverance in the face of her disorder. Abigail and Brittany Hensel, Polycephaly. Most of you already are aware of the infamous case of these two sisters born with polycephaly. It's an incredibly rare genetic condition when two different people share the same body but have separate heads, and as horrifying and unimaginable as it may sound, it's a reality for some people. Two of those people are the sisters Brittany and Abigail. The infamous conjoined twins are 29 years old and hail from Minnesota. Although they share one body, their organs are separate. Each one has her own heart, stomach, spine, lungs and obviously head, but they both share the same pair of reproductive organs. So in case they get pregnant, they'll both be the mother. Crazy, right? But besides that, the sisters have adapted well to their life and continue to prosper as teachers. Edward Mordake, Parasitic twins. The word parasitic isn't something anyone would associate with a sibling. Most people tend to picture gross insects and microscopic disease-causing organisms, but in this case, a condition resulting from a genetic mutation has been named parasitic twin. This one is by far the creepiest. It's a condition where the head of an undeveloped twin is attached to the head of a developed twin, and it's usually located at the back. The parasitic twin can express emotions through its face. It can smile, blink, and even cry. It truly must be a terrifying sight. Edward Mordake was a man born with this defect who lived to the age of 23, and we can bet his short life was not easy for him. He became famous worldwide due to his defect, but for him it was a burden and a psychological torture. He claimed that his parasitic twin was evil and would not stop whispering to him at night, and this finally drove him to commit suicide. Now, we can't say for sure if it's true that Edward's twin talked to him, but just hearing it gave us goosebumps. Imagine how difficult it had been on poor Edward. Anencephaly in babies. Being born a body part or two short is already a devastating thought for the baby and the parents, but imagine being born without a complete head. Terrifying, right? Babies with anencephaly are born with a large part of their brain, skull and scalp missing. It occurs when the neural tube isn't closed during fetal life. The neural tube closure is indeed a crucial step during the embryonic development of the fetus. Unfortunately, this genetic mutation is more prevalent than other conditions discussed in this list. This baby you can see was born in Nepal in 2006 and suffered from anencephaly. Because of its appearance, the baby was referred to as the frog baby. A huge portion of his brain and skull were missing. Unlike all other babies born with this condition, it died within a week. Javier Botemartin syndrome. If you're a fan of horror movies, there's a good chance you already know Javier, and you might have seen him in your nightmares too, in case you love to revisit terrifying film scenes in your dreams. He was born with a rare genetic condition called Marfan syndrome, which is the reason behind his incredibly long and flexible limbs and joints. Because of his condition, Javier can twist his body in unimaginable shapes and at angles that would result in broken bones if we tried them. Luckily, his genetic mutation has been an asset that made him a star of horror films and your bad dreams. Kelly Fidel, fish odor syndrome. Unlike the other genetic conditions discussed on this list, this one doesn't cause any crippling deformity, physical pain, or reduced life expectancy. It is, however, a huge inconvenience for the sufferer and those around them because of its adverse psychological effects. After all, just because it's not visible doesn't mean it won't smell like death. Its scientific name is trimethylaminoria. This condition causes the person to smell like rotting fish, eggs, or garbage. 38-year-old Kelly Fidel has been fighting this problem for a long time, and her situation is so painful that she had to take the night shift at work because her body odor was making life difficult for her work colleagues. Joseph Merrick, Proteus syndrome. You probably know about the man who looked like an elephant, but what you probably didn't know was that he was suffering from Proteus syndrome. It's a genetic disease in which bones, skin, and other connective tissues have abnormally increased growth. This is caused by a mutation in the AKT1 gene. As you can see, Joseph suffered from this extreme disfiguration of almost all body parts, including the face. Because of this disease, Joseph spent most of his life being exhibited around the continent as the Elephant Man in freak shows. Unfortunately, Merrick died at the age of 27 from what was ruled as accidental asphyxia caused by the weight of his head. Aswara Treeman syndrome. This disease is characterized by the formation of warts on the entire body. These warts tend to look like tree branches. According to scientists, this disease occurs because of the uncontrolled growth of the human papillomavirus. This Indonesian fisherman, Dede Koswara, developed this disease when a wound in his leg got infected, and to his surprise it wasn't long after that warts started sprouting up on his body, especially his feet and hands. Dede got quite a few surgeries done in hopes of getting cured, but they kept recurring. The poor man passed away in 2016 at the age of 42. Sharda Hussein, Neurofibromatosis. Sharda Hussein suffers from a rare disorder called neurofibromatosis, a manifestation of which you can see in the footage. This condition is a dire threat to his eyesight and life. Sharda, now 50 years old and a father, was born with neurofibromatosis, a disease characterized by distinct tumor outgrowths. It's not a secret this condition has overpowered his entire life. After all, it's nearly impossible to lead a normal life when your entire body and face are covered in small outgrowths, which are now affecting your vision too. Everyday routine has become an enormous struggle for Sharda. He's unable to wear clothes on his upper body and is constantly suffering itchy sensations. The poor man has spent most of his life fighting this crippling disease. According to him, it's no easy task to live with this kind of pain and never-ending itching on his body and neck. The disease is a physical and psychological burden on him. People tease and bully him by calling him names like monster and passing mean comments on his appearance. He recalls a time when he wasn't suffering from neurofibromatosis as good times, when he was a handsome young man, but the disease has taken that from him. Sharda Casino, Epidermolysis bullosa. Next on the list is the courageous 26-year-old woman named Sharda Casino. Her condition is probably the most terrifying as she spends every single day being subjected to constant pain. She suffers from epidermolysis bullosa, a rare medical disorder causing extreme blistering of the skin from the lightest touch. Sharda hails from Florida and has been struggling with this disease all her life. She's had it since birth. She's tried every possible method to avoid and reduce the pain her skin causes. From tight bandages to emollients, she's given it all a try. This condition has, however, failed to hold her back, as she's now a college student and has found the strength to adapt her lifestyle to her skin disease because she is a woman with lots of goals to achieve.